Okay, so today we're going to be adding and subtracting without the models. And whenever you add or subtract decimals, you add or subtract the digits in the same place value position. The most important thing to remember when adding or subtracting decimals is to line up the decimal. So your teacher probably gave you some grid paper, and this helps you just line up those decimals. And so if we have 23 and 1/10, and we're adding 5 and 8/10, and make sure you put your addition or subtraction sign. You line those up and you write in the answer. So I lined up my decimal points, I lined up my tenths place, I lined up my ones place, I lined up my tenths place, and 1 plus 8 is 9, and 3 plus 5 is 8, and 2 is 2. So go ahead and I'll do one more like this one, 75 and 621 thousandths plus 21 and 369. And remember that I'm adding, and 9 plus 1 is 10, and 8 plus 1 is 9, and then 9, and my decimal point comes down, and 6 and 9. So lining it up on the grid paper is very helpful, especially whenever you're first practicing adding and subtracting. B and C and D and F, and then whenever you come back, we'll check your answers. Okay, so here are your answers. Pause and check your answers. Make sure that you got everything lined up and everything's correct. Okay, and now we're going to do some subtraction. Subtraction is the same format. You just put 5 and 774 thousandths minus 2 and 371 thousandths. Subtract. Make sure you put that subtraction sign so you remember what you're doing. 4 minus 1 is 3, and 7 minus 7 is 0, and 4, decimal point 3. So go ahead and write these problems. 3. So go ahead and write these problems down, and pause while you write these down, and then do them on your grid paper and come back and see your answers. Okay, so these should be your answers to all of these problems, and everything should have lined up, your decimals lining up. Any errors that you make sure that you understand your errors. Are they math errors? Did you subtract wrong? Did you carry wrong, borrow wrong? Or are they lining the decimal up issues? Because those are two different things, and if you identify where your errors are, you're less likely to make them again. Okay, so sometimes it's necessary to annex zeros. And we mentioned annexing zeros is adding zeros that don't change the value of the number, but change the way it appears. And so this, we've got 6 wholes minus 4 and 78 hundredths. Well, we know we can't take 78 from nothing. There's nothing here. So you have to add the zeros in to subtract from. And now it would be the same as borrowing. You would take the 6 and make it a 5, and this would become a 9 and a 10. And then you would subtract and still have everything lined up, and it would be 1 and 22 hundredths. So go ahead, so 14, and it would be like $14, subtract 909, remember your subtraction sign, and go ahead and do that, and do this one, and whenever you come back, you'll have the answers. Okay, so here are the answers, and make sure that you lined everything up, and remember that adding the zeros is called annexing the zeros. So the way that you're going to see a lot of decimal addition and subtraction problems are in word problems, because they take the idea that you know how to add and subtract, and you need to be able to look at a word problem and decide, is it addition, subtraction, what order do the numbers go in. So Tom the turkey ran 3 21/1000 miles this morning. Jake the snake slithered 4 89/100 miles this morning. How much farther did Jake travel than Tom? So you should know from elementary school that's a subtraction word problem. And so Jake comes first, so 4 89/100, and 4 89/100 is bigger. And then Tom, and make sure your decimals all line up. And you have to fill in this 0 here, annex this 0, because you can't take from 1 from nothing. So go ahead and do this problem, and then come back and make sure you have the right answer. Okay, so the answer is 1 869,000 miles. And if we were estimating this, we would say this either estimates to 1.9 miles, or the nearest mile would be 2 miles. So there's your estimate. And if you if you estimated your problem first, it would be 5 minus 3 equals 2. So you can make sure that this answer is reasonable by estimating. Miss Flint did all of her errands last weekend. On Saturday she drove 6 34/100 miles. On Sunday she drove 2 97/100 miles. How many more miles did she drive on Saturday than on Sunday? So you know this is going to be a subtraction. You know that the larger number needs to go on top, and that's going to be Saturday and Sunday. Go ahead and estimate, and then do your actual answer. Okay, so if I estimated, it'd be 6 minus 3 equals 3 miles, and that's my estimate. And then if I did the actual math and lined up my decimal point, I'd get 3 37/100, which would round to 3. And so that's my actual miles, so my estimate was correct. Craig went to the store yesterday. He bought an ice cream cone for 98 cents, a bottle of soda for $1.19, and a Lunchable for $4.89. How much money did he spend all together? All together tells me I'm going to add. So go ahead and work out this problem on your own. So I did the estimate first, and that was 1 plus 1 plus 5, which was $7. That was pretty easy. Just looking at them and doing the math in my head from if I went to the store and grabbed these things, how much money would I need? And then I did the actual and got $7.06. Which is close to $7, so that I know my math is correct. On Saturday, 2 3/10 inches of snow fell. On Monday, 3 200 inches of snow fell. How much more snow fell on Monday than Saturday? So go ahead and work this problem out. Decide if it's an addition or subtraction. Do an estimate and find out the actual. Okay, so the estimate, it is subtraction because it's how much more, and it was Monday minus Saturday. So Monday it fell 3 inches, and Saturday 2 inches approximately, and that's 1 inch difference. And then if I actually do the math, I get 72/100 of an inch, which would round to 1 inch. So why is place value important when adding or subtracting decimal numbers? Jot down your thoughts on that. And then be ready to discuss that tomorrow in your class, where you're going to do more adding and subtracting of decimals.